Hey, Nate Tucker here again with another cool and exciting Meteor Intermediate video. So this video is almost eponymously named with another, so you guys know there is an intermediate Meteor lessons, and I find them to be a little bit basic. So I just want to give you, again, more details on what they do. And they do a good job. I don't think they do a good job explaining things, why things are happening, what's going on, and why you want to do specific things. I also think that they are a little bit soft-handed at times. And, that's completely up to you. People have different tastes. I know some people like to have a lot of control over what they're doing, but, like me, I'm out there and I'm just looking for what's good advice for organizing my file structure, what's good advice for naming conventions, and what's good advice to organize my imports, just stuff like that. And I'll offer you my advice. You can take it or leave it, but I'm going to offer it to you hard. Okay, so what are we up to today? We are up to subscribing to things. Super basic. I'm hoping that all of you guys have done this before, hopefully a couple of times. And hopefully you guys have done this in at least two of the three methods that I'm going to tell you about today. Because there are definitely three viable methods that you can use in order to subscribe to things. So before I start off, I just want to go into some things that I've already done. So one thing that oh God, help me. One thing that I've already done is I've already added sort of a little publish function here. I'm not sure if you guys have ever done this type of thing before, but I'll go over this in a subsequent video. This is publishing something. It's just a number. We provide a number to our publish function. I'll sleep for 200 milliseconds. I'll start off by saying let's not sleep for 200 milliseconds. So this is not a long publish. We check that it's a number. We take the this in the publish and we call the this.added. So what this.added takes, it takes three arguments, and these arguments are count, a number, and an object. Okay, what are these? Counts is the collection. It's actually the collection that you want to dump it into. And again, I'll go over this type of stuff much later on. An ID is an ID, and the number is what we're spitting back. So we're literally just spitting back a single item collection that has the number that you provided in it with the ID of an ID. So I just wanted to show you that. There's one more thing that I do a little bit for convenience, and that is I add a new media collection counts to the global namespace. Okay, so let's see. Currently, we've got our normal application. I'm starting off on our new page that you guys might have seen before. I also have the console open. And what I want to do is I want to get some data. I want to get some data from the server, and I want to get that counts data to the server, or from the server. So I go ahead, I go counts dot, I'm just going to go for find one. There's only ever going to be one thing in here. We get undefined. So that means we're not subscribed to data on the server. So a subscription to the servers is a little bit simpler and a little bit more complex than you think. A subscription to the server basically means that I'm saying, hey server, I would like data given to me over DDP, which is Distributed Data Protocol. That's the protocol that Meteor uses. I would like it to be given to me depending on what type of system you're using, whether oplog tailing or polling. They'll give it to you in a slightly different way, but they'll give it to you every 5 seconds or something like that. You'll take this data on the client and you'll wait for the responses from the server, and you'll dump it into a collection. This kind of magic that I think people get into is they see this Meteor collection, right, on the client and on the server, and they think that this is the same object. And they sort of get very confused having to subscribe to something. But the collection on the client is very, very different. The collection on the client is a different interface, slightly. It is, in this case, mini-Mongo, and it serves as an endpoint for the data dumps. So let's just sort of dive right in. I've got this data. I want to get it into the get into the client, the simplest thing that you can do is go ahead and just do a Meteor subscribe. Okay, so I want to get it on my new page. So I want to go ahead, I want to import, you guys can guess this, Meteor from dot slash Meteor slash Meteor. Yeah, okay, you guys can see I'm way too used to that. Okay, and this we're basically just going to subscribe. So meteor.subscribe. I'm going to assume that you guys know the basics of this, but we subscribe to the collection, just a number, and after we subscribe to the collection, we provide a data argument. And this is, you can go ahead and sort of check this out and where this sort of is. So if you go back to your publications, you'll take this. This takes a single number. One thing that I dislike about this system is that just a number is a magic string. It's a completely magical string. If I made a typo or something like that, it could take me hours to find it. One thing that I've done for previous projects is I've included a file in both that enumerates all of my collections. So you know in my previous videos, I've gone on, I really like knowing exactly where things are and where they're imported and stuff like this. This doesn't link things concisely. It honestly does not link things concisely. What it does do is it makes sure that you're not importing a publication that doesn't exist, which is a little bit better, but it doesn't link things concisely. I've not found a good way to link publications. I wish someone would make something like a validated publication that's declared in both. So this is both in client and in server, and then you can import into the client side and the server side. When you import it into the server side, it actually goes ahead and it does. Well, you don't. I guess you wouldn't need to import it onto the server side, but whatever. It serves to both set up a publication on the server, and it serves to both at least provide an API for this publication slightly to the client. You know, what are the arguments I need, perhaps, and what are the and what are the names of these publications? You know, the problem with this is that this is a little bit security vulnerable because you're publishing a lot of somewhat sensitive information to the client. All that being said, we're not going to deal with that problem here. We're gonna unfortunately rely on this being a magical string. So the only thing we did, Meteor subscribe, just to number 5. Okay. If we go back over here, we go to counts. We do a counts.find1. Ta-da! We get a single object whose ID is an ID and whose number is 5. So literally what happened is, you know, we went to the server, we were like, hey, here's we want this publication. The server was like, yeah, this publication does exist. Let me check. You're supposed to come with some data. They were like, here's my data. My data was 5. And we check on our side, we go ahead, make the publication, we send back some DDP requests or some DDP data, and we're like, bada boom, bada bing. So this is great. One thing that's not great about this is let's go to new pages. New pages is not created. This is a page not found. Counts.find1 still returns something. Okay, why does it return something? This is kind of a major problem. The problem with Meteor.subscribe is it subscribes globally, meaning that this data is accessible throughout your site. As soon as I imported this file, and this file called Meteor.subscribe, you were subscribed. You were just get that data. Everybody has that data. And as long as you have a collection that is called counts, you'll be able to access that data. If you didn't have a collection called counts, the data would just sort of reside, Meteor would just sort of have that data, and as soon as you were to declare it, then it would be able to actually dump it into there. So I want to just go ahead and I want to tell you that Meteor's subscribe can be used. You can actually go ahead and only use Meteor.subscribe. What you'll need to do if you use Meteor.subscribe is you'll need to stop the data subscription once you have all the data that you need, or once you are moving from one page to another page. You'll get a ready function as well. So you get this stopped, you get this ready, and you'll get a subscription ID. I've never really used subscription ID, but I guess you could use it to deduplicate the system or the subscription handles for storing them in some data structure. This is pretty advanced stuff. I would not use it. So Meteor.subscribe has some problems. So what can you do to get around them? So what intermediate Meteor does is that they go ahead and they introduce a subscription or template level subscriptions. So they go ahead. They grab a template. They import template. They go ahead. They say template. Which template do we want to use? It's great. We already have it right named here. The new page template dot on created. This takes a function. And of course, this is buyer beware here. I like to use lambda expressions for these. This feels cleaner than having a named function up here, even though I cannot access this. However, this, for all these things, can be accessed by template.instance. And that will return you sort of a pointer towards this. So what do I want to do? I want to subscribe. So instead of doing meteor.subscribe to just a number, I can go ahead and do template.instance or this.subscribe to just a number. Okay? This will go ahead and subscribe it. The cool thing about this is that when your template is destroyed, which is when you move to a different route, you're not going to be able to get this data anymore. The data basically goes away. You're no longer subscribed to it, even if you have an endpoint for the data, like that collection, and you will see right over here. I've got a counts collection. That's declared globally. And even though I've got the counts collection, I'm not subscribed to it. I'm not subscribed to the data request unless I actually go onto this page, unless this template is created and has not been destroyed. So let's go ahead and sort of experiment with this. So yeah, this page is not found. Of course, counts.find1, undefined. So we don't get anything anymore. The data, I mean, we've got counts. Counts is a thing, right? This is a Mongo collection, but it's undefined. Now, if we go back to the page that we want it to go to in the first place, new page, this is the page to be at, counts.find1 returns something. It returns the data. So this is kind of magical. What's also magical about this is that this data is accessible if you're working in sub-templates, which we are, right? You'll still be able to get the data. Remember, counts, let's show you this. New page renders sub-content, right? So we're kind of playing around in the sub-content template. But that being said, just because one of our parent templates was created and has not been destroyed yet, we still get that data. Okay, this is kind of cool. One thing that people do here, and this is if you go over to the nice folks over at Kadera, and they say using template level subscriptions with Blaze, they'll go ahead and they'll suggest that you use this var self, this self auto run sort of thing. The only time that you need to use this self.autorun sort of thing is when you are getting a parameter. We're not going over getting a parameter right now. I will go over that later on. It is extremely basic for most cases, but as always, it's got its own set of fun things that can go wrong and set of fun things that you can actually do and that you might not have known about. Just because it seems like Meteor is such a it's such a cultish. I'm not really sure what you want to say there. They've got this like catechism of correct Meteor phrases, right? And if you're not writing from that catechism, you kind of look weird, and the code's like, oh, that's kind of. So I like to sort of you can do a lot with it if you understand the underlying system. You can go around and really have fun with this. Okay, so this is a template level subscription. As soon as this template is destroyed, it will go ahead and go away. The one nice thing about this template level subscription is they've given you a sort of nifty little helper. Let's see, what does the helper look like? The helper kind of looks like this. So I'll go ahead and copy this in just because I'm lazy. Go ahead, add this here. It's called a template.subscriptions ready. This is not only a helper, but if you take the template instance, it will also have a subscriptions ready function that is reactive that you can sort of play with. So if the subscriptions are ready, I'll go ahead and I'll say let's just render our original content, which is right here. And if the subscriptions aren't ready, so else, we'll go ahead and we'll render loading. The thing about subscriptions ready is, again, it's reactive, so you'll sort of see this change. So unfortunately, if I just go back to this right now and I were to reload this page, you wouldn't see a thing. It loads really quickly on the local host. So in order to get you guys to see some stuff, I want to go ahead and put a sleep for 200 milliseconds in the publish function. So this way, you know, those of you with frail human eyes will be able to sort of see this. This is milliseconds here too. This is a fairly useful function for testing. As well, there's a complimentary blog post that allows you to only run this function for testing on when you're working on your local host. I'm not really sure how useful that is, but this is fairly useful for these sort of examples. So let's go ahead here. You kind of just missed it. Go ahead, reload this page. Loading, we're still loading, and then boom, we get this data, this sweet data. Okay, so what's nice about this? The nice thing about this is it takes a lot of the effort of Meteor.subscribe and it throws it away. You can lazily use Meteor.subscribe. If you want to globally subscribe to something and subscribe to it always and forever, for each client, you can go ahead and use that. If you're trying to use Meteor.subscribe to subscribe specifically, so different pages load different information, this is a piece of information that's needed only for specific pages, then you totally want to use this templates. You could go ahead and use Meteor.subscribe and go in and use template on template destroyed, stop the Meteor.subscribe stuff, but why do that? This makes it so much easier for you. Template.subscribe is a great method. The only method that's better than this is something called Subscriptions Manager. So let's sort of go over here. So this is a Meteor Hacks project. The Subs Manager to improve performance. The Subs Manager almost to me feels like everyone should just be using this. It's a subscription caching mechanism. So you know how when I was moving to and from pages before, if I move from one page to another page, I go ahead and I delete my subscription, clear my data, make a new subscription, get new data, and that can be really painful. And if you subscribe to a lot of stuff and you're often having overlapping stuff to work with, you don't want to be doing that. That's really, really nasty. And so what the Subs Manager does is it caches your subscriptions. This almost feels like it should be built into Meteor, but unfortunately it's not. So it feels like just a real pro. The only con of the Subs Manager is, I mean, sometimes you technically don't need it. If each page that you do gets only a small chunk of data and it's all very different from each other, perhaps it's not useful to use this, because even going back and forth between these pages, which users will do, it won't save you a lot. I can imagine cases in the Subs Manager, they'll go ahead. You can access these articles, and they'll show you when your site needs this. You can download the Cadera performance, but I would almost say naively, you just want to be using the Subs Manager. Okay, so how do we use Subs Manager? Subs Manager is slightly more complicated, and the reason why it's complicated is because it doesn't come with a helper. So yeah, let's go ahead and do some stuff. Let's go ahead and grab reactive var from over here. Go back to our new page. We'll add a reactive var. which is great. Again, we're going to want to have onCreated. And I'm going to go ahead and sort of copy this stuff in. This good, juicy stuff into our onCreated. Oh my, tabs instead of spaces. No, this is just a different indentation. Well, okay, there we go. We're not going to do any getting parameters stuff today. I will go over the getting parameters stuff later on. Auto run, we'll go ahead and use better syntax in order to do that. Self, again, we don't have a this because I use a lambda expression up here, so I can go ahead and do template.instance, and that will serve as this. We don't want to use vars. We want to go ahead and use const. And this post.subscribe. Yeah, I may as well go ahead and import this. I don't want to be messy here. So import. What is this called? This is what is this? Subs manager. Subs manager from Meteor / this good stuff. Okay. Okay. And I'll go ahead and do some of this. We'll go ahead, we'll make a new subs manager. It's a const. Subs manager is not defined. Subs, it's post subs. I'm just going to go ahead and call this subs. Put it down here. And post ID, what are we subscribing to? We're subscribing to just a number. And this will just be 5. Okay. Template. Great. Okay, now I know that I've done everything right. No red lines. Okay, so what is happening here? So the subs manager is an object. It's an object. You need to create a subs manager, and the subs manager should be shared by all of your templates. What happens is that when you go ahead and you need to subscribe to things, you need to make a ready. Remember how the template actually had that this dot subscriptions ready. This doesn't have that. This is kind of like the one downside of subs, that unfortunately you have to make this kind of like, you have to insert all this ugly code instead of just that template.subscribe. And what this will do is this will go ahead and we'll do an auto run, which we can get into a lot of that fun stuff later. It will subscribe to it will take the subs manager. It will say, hey, add this subscription to the things that you're handling right now. And it can handle up to yada yada. You can set that. I think it starts off, it will default to 10 subscriptions at start. So add this to the subscriptions that you're using. I'm sure it uses a like L1 cache in order to sort of determine the number of subscriptions here. Add this subscription to the things that you're done when you are ready. So this is the handle returned from that specific subscription. Okay, when that subscription that you're subscribed to just now is ready, go ahead and you can say, hey, this template, new page template, your ready can be set. You can be ready now. I hope that makes sense. All this is basically doing is we don't have that nice little function that was like subscriptions ready. We've got to make it. So we made it. Each of our templates now has this function that looks like this. Self.ready. Get, I think, unfortunately. This will return true or false. Yeah. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not the best thing ever. I wish this actually came with it by default, and I hope they get onto that. One thing that you'll notice is this also, this is that this also doesn't have a lovely, let's go back over here. This also doesn't have a lovely subscriptions ready helper for the HTML. And so in order to make this helper for the HTML, and they're a little bit nice about this. They go ahead and they just sort of post ready function. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this in. It's very simple. So we're going to go ahead and say template new page template dot helpers. Takes a big ugly object. We don't want to use old syntax. We're going to use new syntax, and we'll return the template.instance.ready.get. So, oh fun. And this will return whether the template is ready or not. You can go ahead and use this sort of function, post ready, instead of the original function. So let's go over into new page. So instead of template.subscriptions ready, let's go ahead and use this post ready. So annoying. I know it's annoying, but this will really save you a ton of time later on when you're trying to seek for performance edge in your website. And when I say when you're trying to seek for performance edge, when you go back and you're like, oh, we should add this in, and you've got to change like the 50 pages that you have and make them all use Subscriptions Manager. Super easy to stay in, super easy to add, and you also have the rationale of why it works. Okay, let's kind of go see what's happening here. Loading, it's loading, pop. We get the data. Okay. The last thing I want to show you is, unfortunately, or fortunately, a little bit declarative. So you probably are looking at this new page.js. I declared the subs manager right in here. it's probably not the best place for it. So where do I want to declare the subs manager? Where I like to declare the subs manager is right in the UI. So instead of having it in imports UI layouts or anything like that, I just go ahead and do this imports UI and then just do whatever you want to call it, subs manager.js. Go ahead and make this. Go ahead, grab the stuff out of here, slap it into here, export it, add the new line, and then over here we're going to need to import subs. So import subs from // subs manager.js, hopefully. Come on, fingers crossed. Nice. Okay. This will be nice. This way all of your files can reference the exact same subs manager. I've never had to make multiple subs managers. I'm not sure if that's just because I've not made an app that is big enough and requires to have that sort of level of discrimination. But I've never used it myself. So there you go. Those are the three ways. I know it's kind of a slight letdown, I'm sure, because you probably already knew about at least two of these ways, but this final way is also really quite good. Hopefully now you actually know a little bit more about what's happening, why these things are happening. I would love any questions, comments, that sort of stuff. The next thing I'm going to be going over is probably parameters. Just a huge slew of minor details on how getting parameters from Flow Router works and how you should actually use the parameters that you get, what you should name them, that sort of stuff. And at that point, I'm not really sure where we're going to go in. It's always a pleasure, never a chore. I'll see you guys later.